Hello there and welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Jadil Kabiru. Happy that you're here with us for political conversations that are simple, truthful, Prof putting them across in a hard-hitting way. How are you doing, sir?
Wonderful.
How have you been?
Oh, wonderful.
Now Raila says, let's boycott. We are back to boycotting, from the Star to Safaricom to KCB. Boycott, boycott, boycott. Saying first, the Star is unbiased. An arm, a branch within Radio Africa. The media fraternity has come out condemning, saying this is the person that fought for media freedom, and now he's telling people to boycott a newspaper, a media agency. And then we have this other side of Gachagua. He had an interview saying the Standard was quite unbiased towards the Kenya Kwanza administration, even the Daily Nation. It's all about fighting media and what some say media stand for the truth. Some say media, it's okay for media to be biased. But now this boycotting from Raila, what does this mean about the state of media freedom in Kenya?
You know, our leaders don't value advice. They don't even have serious advisors. Somebody like Raila, somebody like Ruto, somebody like Gachagua, they ought to have serious communication teams. Because now what you say is very, very critical and very important. Because the world has changed. To be elected is going to be more of narratives. It's already started than anything else. So it's unfortunate that somebody like Raila, who has fought for freedoms, can talk about curtailing the freedom, the freedoms of a media house or a newspaper. I would not support something like that. Same with Rigathi Gachagua. But the problem in this country, we like living a lie. Yeah. Why are we living a lie about media freedom, about media biases? Media should take stand. But we all know Fox News support the Republicans. We all know CNN and the rest support them. What is so big in the UK, we know who supports who. Why are we pretending that a media house must be very neutral and biased? One in your state. Even BBC is sponsored by the state. I don't think it is. It may be even what you want to say. So let KBC remain in the middle. But let Standard, Nation, Star, Citizen TV, let them free to take a stand.
Do you think it is the responsibility?
Yeah, they should take a stand and say, we support Raila. I'm asking, we support Ruto. We support these ideas. We support change. We support Mandamano. We don't support Mandamano. That's fine.
Back in school, we were taught media is the watchdog of the society.
Yes.
Do you think it is the responsibility of the media to call a spade when the one side is doing wrong? Because now it seems like if a side is termed to be doing what is not supposed to be doing in terms of politics, it is the media fraternity that is biased. Is it?
No, it can't be the media. The media may be weak. The media may report wrongly. The media may make a few blunders. The media may engage in what we call manufactured consent. In other words, you self-censor yourself for your own interests. For example, media wants advertising from government. So they may censor themselves because they want government to give them jobs. Advertising and media may be owned by people who may not be happy if you report it in a certain way. All this is what we call manufactured consent. In other words, media can self-censor. But media has different competencies. You can't say the Star can be as competent as the Nation, which has been there from 1960, or the Standard from I don't know when. They can't. The Star is still growing. The trajectory it is taking is a little different from this other mainstream. It's more of a tabloid than what we call broadsheets or provincial newspapers, serious newspapers. So people like Raila and Gachagua, let them leave the media alone. If you are weak, if you have not invested in storytellers, if you don't invest in narrative creation and perpetuation, if you don't invest in propaganda and propagation of your ideals, that's your problem.
On your own side.
Yeah, that's your problem.
Without relying on the media.
You get people who can demolish the story from the start, make them look foolish and useless. So Gachagua should invest in that department. The people they employ are people who sing their praises. Right?
True.
They should employ men and women
Yes.
who can carry their story to the public, create narratives for them. In such a way, even that Standard will report things about Gachagua, manufactured by his team.
Okay.
Equally, Raila should invest in communication department and have people who can create such a powerful narratives at a star inaweka headlines.
Propaganda.
So they should not carry their weaknesses and transfer to.
Do you think
That's like what I've seen from the Communications Authority.
and that's where I wanted to go first, but do you think this calls from Raila Odinga now to boycott the Star can lead to what the Kenya Union of Journalists say result to attacks towards journalists from Raila's supporters? Are we getting to
It's
that
not
place?
good, even if he doesn't get there. I am operating in this space. I'm not a journalist, but I'm in this space. And I think this space, we want to protect it. We want to guard it. We will not allow anybody, Raila, Rigathi, Gachagua, Ruto, no. This space must be protected. Media has a critical role to play in society. And let's not go in the direction of trying to gag media, threaten media, starve media of jobs, of advertising from government.
Yeah.
That should not be allowed. No, at all, not at all. We will not. Raila, please stop. Rigathi, Gachagua, Ruto, stop attacking media. Nobody should attack media.
Now you go to this other side now, Communications Authority comes and says that the protests, they violated broadcast standards when it comes to covering the live protest that was there on Monday. They said if this will happen again, they will have to take away licenses of these media houses. You get to this situation, let me just ask you first, when you were watching Citizen or was it KTN or NTV during the live protest, did you see anything that could have caused panic or danger from the protest, that it is the right of now the Communication Authority to come in and say, look,
I was not monitoring media to see if they were violating any standards or any whatever you call them. If it is true, those things he said were done, and it's just, for the interest of the viewer, we are saying sometimes media is asked, if you see a morbid picture, a bad picture that could disturb people, or somebody is involved in an accident and you go there with your camera, even before the next of kin have been told in a good way, they are already seeing that thing on TV. Those things, common sense. But let's assume they have been violated. What would Chiloba do? Call the media house through Kenya Media Council of Kenya, MCK.
Yes.
And they go to a room and play some of those clips. Now, I will listen surely. You standard people, KTN is not mentioned, UNTV, when you are hearing this, what was your problem? Can't you see this is what we talk about? This can bring the country down. This can embolden the people if you show somebody slapping a policeman. So, they will self-regulate, they will even talk there and say, by the way, somebody says, I didn't know this falls in this category. Now I know. That's how regulation works. You don't pounce on people
and threaten
them using power you don't have. Let somebody tell you, but he doesn't have that.
Should we expect action from the Media Council now? Because
the Media Council, in fact, media houses must just tell him off. Tell him he doesn't have that power to give anybody a license or deny them.
Finish this conversation. I mentioned Safaricom, I mentioned KCB corporates that Azimio wants people to boycott their services now, and these corporates are playing a major role, especially when it comes to employment. So many people serve under them, and the big question is, can they really be boycotted, and what does Raila really mean by boycott, and how can this really help his move?
Boycott has worked in other places of the world, but it is sometimes very difficult to implement because it's about people and their choices and how they have been accustomed to certain services. Even if you came with very nice mobile telephone services in this country, people are so used to Safaricom. Even Raila himself, he has a Safaricom number. So it's not that easy. But it's good to raise concerns. If organizations, companies are allowing themselves to be used to frustrate people's efforts in bettering their life, it's good to call them out. Yes, it's good to call them out. But we must also know that the stage where Raila has reached is a revolutionary stage. And the revolutions sometimes don't spare certain people. So nobody should laugh it off. Because it could take certain dimensions beyond what you and I are talking now.
Just
beyond what people are seeing. Because when people are in a revolutionary mood, they can do very many bad things. Yes.
We don't want
they can force a boycott. You know, it happens like that. You remember, because this is our country, we must always talk about it. You remember in 2017, during the boycott, boys in Kisumu wanted to do more than just boycotting Safaricom. They had to be begged. You get what I'm saying?
When it was resisted.
Yeah, and that returns me back to what I've always said. This country is too good to go down. Let us not reach there. Because there's a certain stage where if you reach a point we used to learn of no return, we will all regret. Watch what I've been in Studio Citizen. People, we can arrest Raila. What? Things will get somewhere. Even you have no control. I can predict with serious certainty, and I hope somebody serious is listening. If we allow this mandamano to go on Monday, by the second Monday, people will not go home. They will push it to Tuesday. Even if Raila doesn't want, they will tell him off. And that is how mass action gets out of the control of the leaders. And that is how we must avoid situations like those. Because these things will get a point where they are beyond Raila himself. You see, on Monday, Raila told people until next Monday, and they went home. That was a gamble. They could refuse to go and just continue. And I can tell you, if we continue like this, 2-3 weeks from now, many of the things I've said, you've seen them. 2-3 weeks from now, there will be a Monday when boys will spill into Tuesday and into Thursday.
They won't listen to Raila.
They won't listen to Raila.
We don't want to get there.
We don't want to get there, because remember also, you noticed defiance against law and order. You notice a young girl, I've talked about in the studio. You notice a young girl telling off a police officer, back a police officer, a young girl, little girl like this, until the police officer left. You notice policemen being chased and jumping over a wall. So you could be slowly sliding into a state where people begin to disregard authority. Nobody can wish to be there. And I'm sure even the intelligence people must be advising the president. These things are best avoided. My people say, kuna moto ya kuota ukiwa karibu, na kuna moto ya kuota ukiwa mbali. Hii ni moto ya kuota ukiwa mbali. You don't push it close to you. Because I've said this, for this thing to get out of the control of Raila is not a very difficult thing. Especially with the police reacting and overreacting. It's me, I've been at the university, I've seen riots, I see how students behave. I see what makes them mad. What was a small thing gets some momentum the moment the police begin throwing tear gas. I've seen this for many years. I've seen.
You know, you say it is the intelligence are advising the president.
Yeah, they should.
What if the president doesn't really care?
He has to listen. He has to listen. He has to listen. He's an intelligent man. The president is an intelligent man. At some point, he will have to ignore those who are pushing him and tell them, no, this country is bigger than I, William Ruto. I want to be president of a peaceful country. I want to leave a peaceful country to my children and my grandchildren. I cannot want the president at all costs. Because I must finish by saying, I do not believe, even for a moment, Ruto's power and presidency is at stake. I don't see it. It's not at stake. Unless he invites it. So far, his presidency is not under threat.
And if it's not under threat,
it's not under threat.
If it's not under threat, don't you think that's probably the reason why he hasn't yet called Raila
No. You know, you don't have to wait until he's under threat. When you're operating under threat, you have very little power. Just as people are beginning to ignore the police and to disregard them and to disrespect them and disobey them, he too will be disregarded and disobeyed. You don't get there. Moto ya kuotea
mbali.
And finally, this country.
It's too good to go down. Thank you so much for tuning in into our political conversations. Until we do talk again, have yourself a lovely rest of your day.